Hello everyone, I welcome you to my YouTube channel Professor Civil Mandal. Here I speak about civil engineering and you will find my various video lectures regarding various topics of civil engineering over here. This is the sixth video regarding the design of reinforced cement concrete, and in the previous 5 videos, in the first 3 videos I have discussed about the basic concepts of reinforced cement concrete, the basic prerequisite knowledges which we need to keep before we are actually going for the design of the any type of RCC structure. And also in the second chapter, that is in the 4th and 5th videos of regarding design of RCC structure, in the 4th and 5th videos it was discussed about the limit state method of design. This is one method that we can apply for design of various structures. So now in this particular chapter, that is the third chapter, third lesson of this particular course regarding design of RCC structure, this talks about the singly reinforced rectangular section. So we are basically starting our design course with the simplest of the structure, that is the rectangular section, and which is again reinforced in one side only, that is singly reinforced rectangular section. So if there is a particular, suppose section is there, maybe it is a beam. In that beam, if the lower bottom part is reinforced by some of the our reinforcing steel, so that is known as the singly reinforced rectangular section. If both bottom and top part are used for this reinforcement, so we can say that that is doubly reinforced rectangular section. So we start with the singly reinforced rectangular section, which is the very basic thing which we are going to design, and it will begin our design course. So if reinforcement is provided in tension zone only, then it is referred as the singly reinforced section. So a singly reinforced section is that section where the reinforcement is provided in the tension zone only. So suppose if I have any beam, a particular beam, suppose this is my beam, and this is somehow the shape, just assume that it is somehow cuboidal in shape, prismoidal in shape as our beam is, and we are only providing the reinforcement over here at this part through this entire beam. At the lower or the bottom part we are providing reinforcement. So as you know that whenever some load is there on the particular beam, it somehow bends like this, right? So it will be better understood by some piece of paper. So if it is, the beam is somehow like this, a load when it is there on the top part of the structure, so it will somehow bend like this, and you can see that if it is bending like this, the upper part will be in compression. Like suppose my fingers are there, if it is straight then it's alright, but if I am bending it just like our beam bends, so the skin actually gets pressed over here, whereas it is stretched over here. So you can say that the lower part of my skin is actually under tension and the top part is under compression. So if you can do, simply just try to bend your finger like this, your palm like this, you will see that this top part of the skin is somehow gets pressed and the bottom part is actually stretched out. So similarly for beam, the top part is the compression zone and the bottom part is the tension zone. So whenever we are just putting the reinforcement in the bottom part, that is in the tension zone, we call it that it is a singly reinforced section, and the reinforcement is only provided in the tension zone. So now we know that the tension, our steel is very good in tension, whereas the concrete is good for compression. So let's do one thing. Let's put the steel in the bottom part and let's just leave the concrete section as it is for the top part. So what will be happening? So if the top part is getting somehow compressed, the concrete can withstand it, but bottom part where the tension force will be more and the concrete cannot withstand that. So for that purpose we install steel bars inside throughout our particular beam. So that was for beam, or this thing is applied to any type of structure where both tension and compression are seen simultaneously. For it may be a slab or any other thing. So now here is the figure of a particular beam section. So suppose this is our beam section, this is the cross section of our beam, and we are providing the tension reinforcement in the bottom part, that is our tension zone. So let us suppose that this dotted line is our neutral axis. So this neutral axis is said that it is at a depth x, suppose it is xu, and this particular thing, that C, this particular force, that is suppose our resultant compressive force, it is acting in the center of gravity of this top part of the section. So what I am doing is that the section above this neutral axis, I am considering that it is our compression zone, and the section below this part is our tension zone. So what we do in our general criteria, we ignore the amount of concrete which is in there. In practical scenario, there is this much of concrete along with some steel which is fitted over here, but we try to ignore the presence of that concrete because the job is done by the particular steel over there. So but we cannot ignore the concrete over here because this concrete does our job and it takes the whole of the compression. So the stress block diagram, this was the strain diagram, and the stress block diagram is somehow represented by this, and you know that the center of gravity is at a distance 3/8 from the top fiber or 5/8 from the bottom part for this particular 2-degree parabola. So it was done in our previous part. So this is this previous part of the video we discussed about this. For that, for a 2-degree parabola, the center of gravity is somehow located at a distance 3/8 a from this side and at a distance 5/8 a from this side, provided that this total side is of length a. So let's come back to our discussion. So this total force, total compressive force, suppose compressive load is acting at a distance of 3/8. So this x2 is equal to 3/8 and x1 you can say is equal to 5/8. And similarly, in our last lecture we derived that the position of the center of gravity from the top fiber is at 0.36 FCK XU. Okay, so the amount of the force that will be acting will be equal to, the area of the stress block will be equal to the 0.36 FCK XU, and that is the amount of the stress that is acting, multiplied by the distance will give us the total force, that is C. So this distance will be given up by our breadth, that is this one. So for C I can say that 0.36 FCK XUB will be acting over here. So now similarly, if I consider the tension part, that is suppose it is represented by T, 0.87 Fy is the amount of stress that a steel can take up, and also let us consider that area of steel is AST. So we will write that for the position of neutral axis is that part, just keep it in mind, neutral axis is that point where the compressive force is equal to the tension force. So for compressive force is given by this 0.36 FCK XUB, which we derived in the previous part of the video, and 0.87 Fy AST is our total tension force that is acting over it. 0.87 Fy is the stress and AST is the area of the tensile steel. We are ignoring the concrete in the bottom part, so we are not considering that one for our calculation. And Similarly, for concrete it is 0.36 FCK multiplied by 0.36 FCK XU multiplied by B. So on solving this particular equation, I will get XU equal to this 0.87 Fy AST upon 0.36 FCK B. So you can say that for the position of the neutral axis, what we are dependent on? We are dependent on the area of steel in tension for a particular grade of concrete and steel. So as the formula suggests, 0.87 Fy AST upon 0.36 FCK B. So if you are fixing this Fy and FCK, that is the grade of concrete and grade of steel, we have fixed it. And breadth of the beam we also know. Somehow we have derived it from our design or anything. We have tried to determine the particular width of the beam. Suppose even if we know that, so the position of neutral axis will finally depend upon this area of the tensile steel, AST. A represents area, S represents steel, and T represents tension. So that's why we call it AST, area of steel in tension. So now next part is that after we get this, so we can say that if we fix this FCK and Fy, that is the grade of concrete and grade of steel is fixed. So if we are fixing the grade of concrete, so we will have a fixed FCK, and if we are fixing the grade of steel, we will have a fixed Fy. And also if we know the B, that is the width of the beam or the section, so we can get the area of the steel in tension. So if area of the steel in tension will be the only thing that will be the reason for our neutral axis, the position of the neutral axis. So in other words, you can say that position of the neutral axis will be dependent on the area of the steel in tension, provided we are given a particular grade of steel and a particular grade of concrete. So now, depending upon the position of this neutral axis, we come upon three types of section. First is the balanced section, second one is the under reinforced section, and third is the over reinforced section. So as the name suggests, you can say that the balanced section is that type of section where the amount of steel or the force that is taken up by the steel or the strength that is taken up by the steel, that is equal to the compressive strength taken up by the concrete. But for the under reinforced section, the steel that is there, it is somehow outnumbered as compared to the amount of concrete, or you can say that the reinforced that particular reinforced concrete section will be, reinforced cement concrete section will be having somehow tensile force lesser than the compressive force that is acting over it. So other thing is the over reinforced section, that is the amount of the reinforcement is more than required, that is the concrete will be very good in tension as compared to the compression. So sorry, the RCC will be very good in tension as compared to the compression. So for balanced section, the reinforced concrete sections in which the tensile steel also reaches yield strain simultaneously as the concrete reaches the failure strain in bending are called the balanced section. So this is our actual engineering phenomenon, where our actual engineering comes, that we have designed a particular section, particular reinforced concrete section, where the amount of steel is provided in such way that the steel will take up the strength, maximum possible strength it can take, and it will start reaching its yield strain at the same time when the concrete reaches the failure strain in bending. So at the same time, the concrete part at the top will start crushing. As you know, a concrete fails by crushing. So concrete will start crushing, and the bottom steel part will also reach its yield point. Okay, so it's like that the steel will somehow get extended, a small throat like structure will be forming, and the steel will be elongated somehow, and you can say that it is the yield strain of that particular tension steel. So that thing only occurs when XU is equal to XU limit. So XU limit is that particular position of neutral axis beyond which we should not go. So that is the maximum possible extrude limit, and the values you know are that will be 0.53D for this Fe250, 0.48D for Fe415 and 0.46D for Fe500, provided D is the depth of the section. So XU shall be equal to XU limit for balanced section where the tensile steel will be reaching its yield strength when the concrete will be simultaneously reaching its failure strength, and it will just start crushing. For the under reinforced section, the reinforced concrete beam section in which the steel reaches yield strength, the steel reaches yield strength at loads lower than the load at which the concrete reaches failure strength are called the under reinforced section. So the particular the yield strength, whenever that particular yield strength will be arriving at that particular beam or that particular reinforced concrete section, the concrete part will be as it is. It will not reach its failure strength, but the steel will be reaching its yield strength. So in other words, you can say that in simple literal meaning that the amount of steel will be outnumbered as compared to the amount of concrete that is available to us. So every singly reinforced beam should be designed as under reinforced section, because this section gives us warning before failure. So it is suggested that if one designer must make the design under reinforced, because if a concrete is failing, that failure will be sudden, it will be crushing, and it will be a brittle failure, and the concrete will crush and break into pieces all of a sudden. But for a steel, it will first try to yield itself, it will elongate, it will somehow distort, then it will reach its ultimate strain, then only the fracture point will be starting. And that ultimate strain, as you know, we have discussed in our previous videos also, that ultimate strain is that particular strain which is not seen in RCC structure. That strain is too much high. So before that strain only, that yield strain will be possible to be achieved to us, and that thing is good for us because it will just start yielding, but actual failure will not take place, actual fracture will be taking place lot afterwards. So till now you can say that you will be safe under this under reinforced section. So it is suggested by the code, and it is suggested to all designers that you should make the section under reinforced. Now the yielding of steel in under reinforced beam section does not mean the structure has failed. See, this is the most important thing, that if suppose that steel inside that RCC structure, RCC section has somehow yielded, but that actually doesn't mean that our section has failed, as when steel yields, excessive deflection and cracking in beam will occur before the failure, which gives enough time to occupants to escape before the section fails. So this is the important thing about this under reinforced section, that whenever excessive deflection and cracking in the beam will be occurring, this gives us enough time for us to run away. So that is the indication point that our steel has yielded. You must not stay under this structure for longer duration, you must vacate this, but it will not mean that this concrete is going to collapse and it will be falling on your head or your body. So you will be, in other words, you will be safe under this under reinforced section. The failure in under reinforced beam section is due to the concrete reaching its ultimate strain of 0.0035 before the steel reaches its failure, which is much higher, 0.2 to 0.25. So the failure in under reinforced beam section is due to the concrete reaching its ultimate failure strain of 0.0035 before the steel reaches its failure strain, which is 0.2 to 0.25. So actually the failure strain for steel is much higher. Okay, so before that failure strain, that concrete will start showing its yield strength. So concrete will when the concrete will start its failure, before that our steel will also give another type of yield, that is another type of stress, that is our yield stress. So that is the point when we need to know that we shall not stay under this structure, we shall vacate the building as soon as possible. So for this, XU should be less than the XU limit. So for the under reinforced section, the balance section should be lesser than the XU limit. Now for over reinforced section, the reinforced concrete beam sections in which the failure strain in concrete is reached earlier than the yield strain of concrete is reached. So here the concrete will be reaching its failure strain first, and then only the yield strain of steel will be reached. So you can see that the section will first get brittle and it will crush immediately, because the concrete will have brittle failure. Even if you compare the two graphs of our I'm just talking about all this thing about the regarding the failure strain of a concrete and yield strain of our steel. So if you remember the two graphs, our graph of the steel and graph of concrete graph was somehow parabolic, whereas the steel graph was first linear, it reached up to the yield strain, then it has decreased to a very little amount, then we had the yield plateau, then it increased up to the ultimate strain. So that ultimate strain is again very high, and that yield strain is somehow little bit quite comparable to that what is in the concrete. So somehow a little bit ups and downs in our design will show us that whether it is under reinforced or over reinforced section. So if you are providing that under reinforced section, so you can say that you are providing such amount of steel that it will be getting its strain much earlier as this strain that the concrete will be getting. So you can provide strain to the steel at the early stage, but you can never provide strain to the concrete, because as and when the strain will be provided to the concrete will crush and failure will be very brittle and sudden. So there will be no chance for someone to escape. But for this particular steel thing, the failure won't occur at first. First the steel will get yielded. So it is suggested that one should give under reinforced section, not over reinforced section. For over reinforced section, just the opposite thing will happen, that the concrete will reach its failure strain first. The first strain will occur in the concrete, not on the steel. So the steel will not be yielded, but our concrete will be somehow getting crushed and it will be broken into pieces. So that is much more alarming as compared to the previous one, that is our under reinforced section. So it is never suggested to make the over reinforced section. That will be reading in our later part. That is, if over reinforced beam is designed and loaded to full capacity, then steel in tension zone will not yield much before the concrete reaches its ultimate strain of 0.0035. So I will read this sentence again, that if over reinforced beam is designed and loaded to full capacity, then the steel in tension zone will not yield much before the concrete reaches its ultimate strain of 0.0035. And this is due to the little yielding of steel, the deflection and cracking of the beam does not occur and does not give enough warning prior to our failure. So just to get the warning, we actually design our under reinforced section. Just to get the warning, just that steel will reach its yield point, we will see a little bit of deflection in our beam, and somehow the concrete will not fail. The only that little bit of deflection or this distortion, whenever we will see in that particular concrete structure, we will be sure that we must not stay under it and we will run away. But for this, we won't see any strain in the this particular steel thing. So concrete will be under strain and it will break suddenly. Failures in over reinforced sections are all of a sudden, as I told you, and this type of design is not recommended in practice of beam design. Not recommended in the practice of beam design. So you can see this figure where this is a section of a beam and this is our balance section where XU is equal to XU limit. See, one more thing, XU should be greater than XU limit for over reinforced section. I will highlight this thing first, then I will go to this drawing that for this particular cross section of reinforced cement concrete, I have a reinforced section over here with these are the particular reinforcements, and this is our balance section. That is, if this is our critical neutral axis, that is XU limit, that this is the limiting neutral axis and we should not go beyond this. So, and it is here, it is somehow in this figure it is represented by NC. I have also written that XU is equal to NC, or you can say that XU limit is equal to NC. You can correct it later on that this is XU limit equal to NC. So XU limit is equal to our NC, and XU is given by N. Alright, so in this figure you can see this, the value of N is less than NC, that is XU is less than XU limit. So our under reinforced sections are somehow like this. So the strain diagram for under reinforced section will be somehow like this. Sigma CBC is our maximum amount of stress or strain that a particular concrete can take, but we are actually providing a strain which is lesser. But here in this part we are providing that amount of stress or that amount of strain is occurring to the steel, which is the yield strain. So this is somehow equal to this one, that's why this is equal to this one. But for this diagram, this one is equal to this one. It is provided sigma CBC over here, that is the failures, the stress at which that concrete section will fail. But for the steel, whenever the steel gets yielded, that value is somehow sigma ST upon M, but our provided steel is somehow lesser than it. Sorry, the provided steel will get strain somehow lesser than it, whatever we are expected to have. So this thing is our over reinforced section, and also the XU is greater than XU limit, that is our balance section N, our neutral axis N, depth of neutral axis N is greater than the XU limiting, that is NC. So N is greater than NC, or you can say XU is greater than XU limiting, and this is our under reinforced section, and this is thus not suggested for design. Now note that the section always fails due to crushing of concrete in LSM. Always we try to provide that crushing section always fail due to crushing of concrete in LSM. So wherever it might be in LSM or any other method, always you remember that section always fails due to crushing of concrete. Whenever any section fails, that failure is actually you can say that this particular section is a failure then when only the concrete will be actually crushing. If the concrete is crushing, you are saying that yes, this section is a failure, I cannot design it in our practical scenario. Steel never fails fracture, and it always yields for the particular load on RCC and RCC structure faces. So you can never say that a steel fails. Steel never fails. The particular yield strength is reached by our particular steel section. That is the maximum limit which we are providing for that steel, and at that yield strength that steel actually yields, it actually elongates. It doesn't mean that the steel will be reaching its fracture point. So the steel never fails. Whatever failure occurs, it occurs to the concrete and it is crushing. The over reinforced sections are not permitted because the failure is brittle, crushing and without warning. The under reinforced sections are always permitted because the failure is ductile and shows clear signs of warning before failing. And the deflection and cracking is first seen more in under reinforced section such as compared to the over reinforced section where this is not seen. So deflection will be first seen in the under reinforced. So you can see that in under reinforced section failure occurs in steel, and in over reinforced section the first failure occurs in the concrete. So whose failure is occurring, we have to see that if the steel is getting failed, you can say that the failure of that particular section will be also ductile just like the steel. That therefore the under reinforced sections actually are ductile and show us the clear signs of warning, and deflection and cracking is first seen in the under reinforced sections only. But for over reinforced section, concrete is first failed, then the steel, and the failure thus occurs like a crushing failure. Just a normal concrete will fail, just like a normal concrete will fail. Practically all flexure sections are URS in LSM. So in other words, you can say that balance section is our limit, and we are actually making all the designs in under reinforced section, that is URS, our under reinforced section, but we never go for the section which is higher than balance section. Next is the moment of resistance of section. So let's now discuss this thing about moment of resistance of a particular section, and for this I have drawn this rectangular section with particular amount of tension steel provided. Suppose the area is AST, and this D is the depth of, suppose this D is up to here only, up to this amount of steel. Actually this amount of concrete is known as our this covered concrete. This is known as a clear cover. It is just only one purpose, that is protecting the reinforcement from any type of corrosion or any adverse weather conditions or exposures. But actually for our this load bearing purpose, this particular thing has no job, and you can consider that our beam is functionally taking load up to this part only. Though we can draw the strain diagram up to here, because this thing almost behaves as this steel, and we can extend our strain diagram up to here, but for our truth the strain diagram is up to here only, and the maximum limit is this one, that is 0.002 plus 0.87 Fy upon Es, and 0.0035 is the maximum strain of that particular concrete. This is I am making for a balanced section. Let me write it. Balanced section. This is the balanced section which I am mentioning about, and suppose, and this is the strain diagram, and similarly the stress block diagram is over here. The stress block diagram is over here. 0.45 FCK is the maximum amount of stress for this particular concrete, and 0.87 Fy is for the particular tensile steel. And for the clear representation, the lever arm is drawn over here. So you can, in other words, say that the lever arm is the distance between the resultant of the tensile forces and the resultant of the compressive forces which is acting over here, and this is at a distance of 3/8 A. So now for the balance section I can write that we know that C is equal to T, so also MR, which is equal to C cross LA, because moment will be the force that is acting multiplied by LA, that is our lever arm. Also, in other words, if you are considering this one, so it is being rotated about this thing, and it is T cross LA. So for this one, this is C cross LA, and this is our again T cross LA. This one is about this one, and this one is about this one. So MR is equal to C cross LA, and it is also equal to T cross LA. LA is our lever arm. So MR can be written as MR is equal to C cross LA, and it is C can be represented as, suppose I am writing it 0.36 FCK XU, and I am writing it XU limit because this is the balance section. B, and in place of D I will write it D minus 0.42 XU, and this is my lever arm. My lever arm will be represented by this D minus 0.42 XU. This is my lever arm. How this is d minus 0.42 XU? Because this length is d, right? And this is my XU, and this one is 0.42 XU, that is 3/7 of XU. This thing is known to us. This is 3/7 of XU, and therefore this is 3/7 of XU, and that is equal to 0.42 XU, and thus I can say that this thing is d minus 0.42 XU. So I will write lever arm, which is equal to d minus 0.42 XU. So I can write it, replace it over here, d minus 0.42 XU. So now if I am solving this thing, putting XU limit is equal to XU, because this is our balanced section, and so we are putting, let's suppose XU limit is equal to XU, because the section is balanced, so this is XU limit, XU limit is equal to XU. So I will put this one as XU, and I can write it like this: 0.36 FCK, it will be replaced by XU, B times D minus 0.42 XU. This is d minus 0.42 XU. So now let's, for different steel, suppose I put XU is equal to 0.53 D for Fe250. So if I put XU is equal to 0.53 D for Fe250, so for Fe250 bars, my MR will be equal to 0.148. This thing, if I solve it, putting XU equal to 0.53 D, it will be equal to 0.148 FCK B D square, and it is for Fe250. So this is for Fe250. MR is equal to 0.148 FCK BD square. Similarly, it is also equal to 0.138 FCK BD square, but it's not for Fe250, it is for Fe415, because for Fe415 I will put XU equal to 0.48 D for Fe415. So for Fe415 I will be putting XU equal to 0.48 D. So on putting that, I will get MR is equal to 0.138 FCK BD square, and similarly for Fe500 it will be 0.133 FCK BD square. So you must note these things. This MR short formulas for getting moment of resistance are these three for any for this particular three parts, and it will be useful for our any type of questions. Again, MR is equal to T cross LA, right? Just it was for C cross LA, it can also be written for T cross LA, and for that it is equal to 0.87 Fy AST D minus 0.42 XU. So I will if this is XU, and at balance section XU is equal to XU limit, so I can replace this XU by XU limit, and I can write it as 0.87 Fy AST D minus 0.42 XU limit, and this will no longer remain just our simple MR, it will also be our MU limiting. So this MU limiting can be written as 0.87 Fy AST multiplied by D minus 0.42 XU limiting. So now we have reached up to here. So now by taking this particular thing, I'll write that AST for balanced section. So for AST for balanced section, we know that C is equal to T and 0.36 FCK. I will write XU limit, as this is our balanced section. XU is equal to XU limit multiplied by B is equal to 0.87 Fy AST, and now I will write AST limit because this is our limiting point, because for balanced section XU is equal to XU limit, and it's like that we cannot go beyond this XU limit. XU limit is our last stage. So this is equal to 0.87 Fy AST is also, therefore I will limit this one. So I will not provide more AST than required, and therefore I will write AST limit, and so AST limit will be equal to 0.414 FCK upon Fy multiplied by XU limit multiplied by B. So this is the formula for AST limit. One can note this down. This is the formula for AST limit. And so AST limit is equal to, this is our particular formula. Now next now just talk about the under reinforced section, where our XU is less than XU limiting. So for under reinforced section, actually the formula for MR won't be different, but it's like that we cannot equate the MR now. This time MR will be equal to C cross LA, and it is equal to 0.36 FCK, 0.36 FCK XU D minus 0.42 XU. Simple, just MR, that is C cross LA. Also MR is equal to T cross LA, which is equal to 0.87 Fy AST D minus 0.42 XU. Just note one thing, that these two values won't be same. This MR will be actually greater than this particular MR. So this was for our under reinforced section. Next, for over reinforced section, actually these particular formulas which will be actually used for our design, and also this one will be also used, because we also need to know the limiting amount of AST and the limiting amount of moment. So this particular formula and this particular formula will be very much useful to us, and also we will also use this one for our under reinforced section calculation. Now for over reinforced section, again MR, the formula for MR remains same, C cross LF, and it is again equal to 0.36 FCK XU B D minus 0.42 XU. Also MR is equal to T cross LA, and this time I will write I won't write 0.87 FY. Like previously we used to write 0.87 FY, 0.87 FY AST D minus 0.42 XU, but now this time I won't write 0.87 FY. I will write something else, that is FST. Suppose I am writing this one, FST, where what is the significance of FST? FST is less than 0.87 FY, because in our over reinforced section we have that amount of steel which will experience that amount of stress which is actually lesser than this thing, and thus it doesn't get yielded. But our concrete reaches our fracture strain, and that therefore this formula is not altered. Only this formula is altered because I cannot use this one, because our steel is somehow taking some stress which is lesser than the yield stress during the time of the failure. So this is what we were actually doing. Like we calculated the moment of resistance for balance section, we calculated the moment of resistance for under reinforced section, and also for over reinforced section, where we just did one alteration, that we used FST, which is actually less than 0.87 FY. That is our normal amount of stress our steel that can take. And also these are the few important formulae for the moment of resistance for different grades of steel. I will highlight this one. This will be used for various calculation. Also, this is the limiting moment of resistance, and this is our limiting area of tensile steel. And these are the two formulas that will be using for this calculation. Moment of resistance, one is C cross LA, that is 0.36 FCK XUB multiplied by T minus 0.42 XU, and this is for T cross LA, and this is 0.87 FY AST D minus 0.42 XU. Nextly, what we are going to do, I'll just do one thing. Yes, okay. Next, in the next part of the video, what we will do is that we will discuss about the types of problems which we face in various kinds of examination or for in our real life applications. Like these are the analysis problems when we are analyzing a particular section, and next is the design problem when we are designing the particular section, and thus it has also different types of applications through different problems. And about this we will be discussing in the next part of this video. Till then, please post any kinds of doubts if you are having in the comment section. Also, please like and share my video, recommend it to your friends and juniors, so that this video is spreaded and they can get the idea of this particular topic. And also, the session for doubt is totally open. The doubt session can be cleared in the comment section only. And one more thing, this thing requires a lot of hard work and lot of arrangement for this particular video lessons. So I would just request you to please subscribe my channel. Just you need to press that red button only one simple thing for all the hard work I am doing. So I just request you to press the red button for subscribing, and please subscribe to my channel. That is what I will expect from you, and this thing gives me much more motivation for my next videos, and I can therefore develop more videos and bring more videos to you. Thank you.